The Federal Reserve's repo facility has drained from $2.5 trillion to essentially zero. SOFR and IORB are now tracking the same line on this chart. We ran 5 years of both rates through FSR. The score gap between them, 74% versus 38%. And what's happening to that gap right now tells a specific story about where we are in the liquidity cycle. IORB, interest on reserve balances, is the rate the Fed pays banks for holding reserves overnight. It moves in exact increments at FOMC meetings. It's a policy tool, not a market price. SOFR, secured overnight financing rate, is determined daily by hundreds of billions of dollars in actual overnight repo transaction. It's the market's real-time price for short-term collateralized funding. SOFR replaced LIBOR globally as the benchmark rate for derivatives, mortgages, and corporate loans. Trillions of dollars in contracts reference it. 5 years of daily data on both. IORB FSR 74%, SOFR FSR 38%. The blue IORB line moves on the staircase pattern you'd expect from a policy rate, 25 and 50 basis point increments at each FOMC decision, 0 to 5.25% and back down. FSR scores it at 74% because that staircase is structurally consistent. The red SOFR line follows the same general trajectory, but is constantly oscillating. The market repricing it in real time every single morning. 38% FSR, that's a 36-point gap measuring policy discipline versus market noise on the same underlying rate path. Now here's why those two lines converging matters. From 2021 to 2023, the Fed's overnight reverse repo facility swelled to $2.5 trillion. Banks and money market funds were parking excess cash with the Fed each night because there was nowhere else to put it. That RRP balance acted as a liquidity buffer. It kept SOFR pinned slightly below IORB. It gave the system a massive cushion of available overnight funding. That buffer has now drained to essentially zero. The money moved in Treasury bills as yields became more attractive. The cushion is gone. This is where it gets historically significant. In September 2019, the repo market experienced exactly this dynamic. Excess reserves had drained. The RRP buffer did not exist. In its current form, and overnight funding demand spiked. SOFR went from roughly 2.2% to over 10% in 24 hours. The Fed had to conduct emergency repo operations to stabilize the market. The system ran out of friction. When SOFR and IORB are locked together with no buffer between them, any sudden demand shock in overnight funding markets has no cushion to absorb it. Look at the right side of this chart. SOFR and IORB are now converging, tracking the same line as the reverse repo facility empties. 38% SOFR FSR score tells you that market rate is already operating with significant structural noise even in a calm environment. If a funding stress event similar to 2019 occurs, the FSR on SOFR would likely collapse toward the lowest readings we've seen because a rate spiking from 3.5% to 5% or higher overnight is the definition of structural breakdown. Should you panic? Not based on current data. SOFR is functioning. The convergence with IORB is the Fed's intended outcome, but the buffer is gone. The next time there is a mismatch between overnight funding supply and demand, there is no $2.5 trillion reverse repo cushion to absorb it. The FSR data will show that stress before most headlines will. Previous reverse repo video link below. Full tool at predictability-api.com. Link is in the description. It quantifies stability in all time series data. Thanks for stopping by. We'll catch you in the next one.